by IOPSA and PRLB. We thank them for that. Guys, I know that it's a bit of a trying time at this particular point in time, and as IOPSA and PRLB, we're trying our best to, give you with information, sending you information. There's a lot of more that's going to come from our side. We're just trying to pull the pieces together, but just watch the space. Anyway, today's session, guys, is this issue about essential services and the permit. So I know there's been a lot of chat and a lot of things being thrown around by that point, from that point of view, and so we've put a lot of information out. So we're just going to go through that information again, guys, but we're going to go through it pretty fast because I think we've put out quite a bit of information. And if you haven't watched the YouTube videos as well about the permits and the essential services that we've already sent out, so you can watch it in your own time. I'm going to go through a very similar presentation, but the objective now is to get to more of a Q&A session at the end, so you guys can throw some questions at us. In the room with me is Brendan. So hi, Brendan.
Morning, guys.
And then Steve as well. Steve is also sitting in the background. So we got the
morning, everybody.
The full complement of board here. So they're going to be joining me in the session, and can I just quickly answer some questions as well if I'm not able to answer them. Brendan, you can switch your microphone off as well, so we don't hear you light up your cigarette again. Cool, great, guys. So let's dive into this. And again, it's what we could do is we're just going to try and make it a bit of a more Q&A session now. So just keep your question. Okay, let your questions come in. Karim will handle them in the background for me. If need be, he'll just stop me and we'll ask about that specific thing as well. So let's just quickly go through as a bit of a recap, guys. So as you know that the government put out a notice, an amendment to a regulation, or an act, which was the Disaster Management Act. And in terms of Section 3, if you actually go and read that specific act, it says that the minister may change these regulations if they deem necessary required, which they did, and they literally just created this amendment to the regulation, which you can find on the specific site. Now, I just wanted to stop at this particular point as well, guys, at this time, is because there's a lot of misinformation going out there. And from our stance, it's very simple. It must be a government site. It must come from a governmental site. Please, guys, check that. And if you're getting information on chatters on WhatsApp groups and from a third party or whatever it is, take it with a pinch of salt until such time as it is verified by yourself, right? Or more so, send it into IOPSA or the PRLB. We will look at it and we will verify that specific thing. And also bearing in mind, all communication that is coming from us will be from a verified source. So if anything, guys, don't listen to it with half an ear, but wait until the official communications come from IOPSA and PRLB. Then further to that is that I just want to take note that these regulations can be changed at a notice because they've been written. This Section 3 allows the minister to change these regulations very quickly. So these are the latest ones that we have, and this webinar is about these latest regulations. So the reason for it, guys, I'm not going to go into in depth of this specific thing. I'm sure if you went to go in the OHS webinars, I spoke a bit about this specific thing. I'm under correction if that was the case, but I think you've heard enough of this. You heard about this curve that we're trying to get down, and that's the objective. It's just to get everybody to stay at home, remove social contact, so that we don't have this spike as is happening in a lot of the other countries. And because of the spike, it puts a lot of pressure on our healthcare system, and we're just trying to flatten the curve, trying to keep it below what our healthcare system is. So, and we all need to play our part in the specific process, and that's the objective. It says because not one or two people can do it, we need to do it as a collective, and that is what the government is trying to do. Is they're trying to get this curve down and put non-essential people away, lock the country down with these non-essential services. Fortunate for us is that the plumbing industry is an essential service. Let me just correct that. That is specifically for maintenance and service people. Construction, for obvious reasons, where that does not deem by government a essential services. So unfortunately, from that point of view, guys, if you guys were involved in construction services or on construction related businesses, I'm sure you've already been told that your sites have been closed down. That's obvious, but any maintenance and any service, emergency services still continue. So let's just quickly just define what is essential services, and everything I'm showing you comes directly out of the Act. So, but I only highlighted the brief, I extracted only the essential points that I want to get across. Please, guys, go and read that full Act. Make sure that this Act here, make sure that you don't download that specific Act if you want to go and read the full document. But in this specific case, I am only going to be talking about the extracts out. So there we go, essential services, right? And defined by Section 213 of the Labour Relations Act, etc., etc. But this is the more important point, this last piece here, as listed in paragraph B of Annexure B, as may be amended. So in other words, and what that paragraph, if you go to the regulations, services category, electric, water, gas, and fuel products. There we go. Clear. It's clear in that specific environment, clear in the statement in that annexure, and then also cleaning, sanitation, sewage, waste, products, production, manufacturing for those people who are supplying, right? And then the transport services, rendering essential services and goods. Right, so it's clear. We are part of that, is water. We'll get on a little bit later. The one thing that they did incorrectly was a lot of people have gone onto the Gov portal, the Gov where you try to register, and they had some ARB list. I don't know where they got the list from, and that is why if you see that the chatter at the moment is that they've cleaned this list up and made it correctly, and they've now aligned it to this Annexure B now. But I'll talk about that a little bit later again, because a lot of us went to go and sign under sewerage at this particular point. But I'll touch on that again. But the other important point is in the and this section comes out of the definitions, is a definition called institutes. So institute is basically an essential service, aka your company, right? Means a public or private institute that is engaged in the supply or distribution of essential services, essential goods or services. So this institute, where we see this wording later, it means your company, and this is much more important, guys, is the head of the institute. Means the accounting officer of a public institution and the chief executive or the equivalent of a chief executive officer of a private institute. So a private institute, meaning your company. So you might be the CEO or equivalent, aka the owner. So you, the head of the institute, is the owner of the business. So keep that in mind when we go through it. And why this one is so important is because the head of the institute must determine the essential services to be performed by his or her institute. So it's basically saying that you're the owner of the business, we're putting the responsibility on you, and we're saying to you, the government is saying to you, says, if you're deemed an essential service, in other words, you're a plumber, now you as the head of the institute needs to determine that within your business that you provide this essential services. So I go back to the example of contracting plumbing. The government doesn't deem that important, or sorry, doesn't deem that an essential services at this particular point in time, but they also deem that plumbing is important. But they're also saying that the head of the institute, aka you as the owner, need to determine within your business what is essential services. So you might be running a company that has now I'm trying to think of a quick a transport service, and you've got a plumbing company. A really bad example, a taxi business and a plumbing company, both in the same company. So they're saying no. You as the head of the institute must determine out of your own business that the plumbing portion is important, but the transport is not. So they're putting a lot of emphasis on you as the head of institute. So the period of lockdown, for the lockdown, each person is confined to the lockdown, but other than essential services. So clear, there it states essential services, part of the process. And then, of course, what's very important is that we must make sure that it's great if we've got plumbing companies or our plumbing businesses are running, and or maintenance and We can do the maintenance and service, but if we're not backed up by the supply chain, aka the retail shops or the merchants, that's going to be and then what's the point in even going? So yes, the retail shops are also deemed the retail plumbing shops are deemed essential services as well, but they must keep their social distance in the necessary space. And here it's clear, keep a distance of at least 1 square meter, but each retail shop will determine their own method of what they're going to do. And then the retail shops need to only sell the essential goods. Prohibited is anything like, again, an example, if you walk into that and you want to buy a whole bathroom suite, then they should not be selling that. Head of that institute may not allow the shop to sell non-essential goods, aka the bathroom suite. Now, just back onto that specific one, guys. There is a couple of, we're getting the information from the various stores that are open at this particular point in time. So, but anyway, what you guys should do is just phone up your local store and see if they're open, and also determine what are their requirements with regards to social distancing. So persons are performing these essential services need to complete this Annexure C document, right? And I'll go into a little bit of depth about, and it must be the head of the institute. So again, this Annexure C came out directly, how the document is written came out of the Form 1 in Annexure C, a document that, if you go back to, again, this regulation here, the gazetted regulation, go into Annexure C, and it defines exactly how that document should look from that point of view. So, the wrong slide. Need to complete this, and it needs to be signed by the head of institute. In other words, you have to put your head on the block, no pun intended, and you need to, as the owner or the CEO of the company, needs to sign that specific document. Do that. So let's just quickly delve a bit into it. So what we've done, guys, is that we've taken this document. There is a handout. I've actually attached it in the handout. Feel free to download this document, guys. In the handout section of in your window, there's a little section called handouts. There's a template in there, a Word template. We actually drew this template up. We took it, we just printed it, or we put it into a Word document so you can extract it out. And feel free to edit the way in which you feel best is for your business, guys. But I would suggest you is keep it as close as possible to the layout of what's in the regulation. So download the document, use it, guys. Let's quickly just run it through it. This first section here, this section here at the top, let me just quickly get a pen here. All right, this one is the head of the institute. In other words, the owner of the company, the institute, the head of the institute, i.e. the owner or the CEO, completes their details here. And then what we did is we've added this specific section in here, that if you do have a PRRB registration number or a Metro registration number, please add it in here as well. And you'll see why we've put that in. The physical address of the institute, and if you're a member of the Institute of Plumbing, please put your membership number in here. Then certify that. So this is the individual that is going to be working on the business, working for you in your business. So this is your name again. This is you as the owner. So you'll have, basically this will stay exactly the same. This section will stay exactly the same. And then this section, yeah, will change depending on who the person is. Again, exactly the same: surname, full names, identity number, and if the person has a registration number with either the Metro or the PRRB or both, please stick it in there. And you can say, yeah, hereby certified that this individual forms part of the Plumbing Institute, i.e. business, defined above, and is duly designated in performing essential plumbing services determined in sub-regulation 2 of the regulations, and in the functioning of the essential plumbing services rendered by the institute. Sign it, and sign it by the head of the institute. So some people say they don't have an official company stamp. If you've got a company stamp, please stamp it. What I did suggest is just draw up some form of, block or something, and just put your company name, your registration number, your VAT number, and then your address, and then just print it on here, and then countersign it. So if you've got to just countersign it, so you're going to put your full signature and countersign it here, and then do each one for each and every person that you do, as I've already indicated. But what I mean by that is, guys, don't now print this one, sign it, do this, and then just make a copy and then just continue. Rather make it look official, guys, so that it's there. And then also carry as much evidence in support of this document. In other words, if you do have a PRRB registration number, print the card off and put it at the back of that specific thing. If you do have a membership certificate, please print it off on the back there. Put your CK documents with it. Put every single document that you're able to carry with it, with your doc. So if you do get stopped and questioned, at least you can open up the file or whatever it is and show them the documents that you have in that specific file. An interesting thing that I did see, and I thought it was quite a good tip, maybe give it out to you guys, is that I went out to go to the shop, I think it was yesterday, and sorry, I'm just drawing a little vehicle here just to show you. And what the guys did, my pathetic little, there's this little window, right? And it was actually it was a different car. It wasn't a bucket, but they had a. And then what they did is they took this permit plus the other documents, and they actually stuck it on their window. A physical document there, denoting that they are essential services. So if they were stopped, they put the two most important. In this case, they had two documents, which I think it was the certificate, which they got from BizPlus, the Biz portal, and this permit as well. But whatever you guys do, what's more important is just carry as much as you want. And this is the most important document, plus the Biz portal document or the certificate, which we'll touch on just now. So just carry as much as you can, and it's all about evidence. So if you do get put out, you guys have the evidence. So let's quickly just touch on this Biz portal. Right, there's a couple of things that this actually, we did one first webinar. The beginning, we were following the government. We started hearing news that they've created this Biz portal site, and it's not as difficult as one makes it out to. I think they had such a load when they started, but I did it the other day. I think it was Friday, and it literally took me 5 minutes to do that specific thing. But there's a couple of catches with this one, guys. Is that so? Just go to the. So I'm just going. Sorry, let me just quickly go back. Go and visit the site. Up at the top there, there's a little thing that says services. Go and click on the service button, right, and it'll bring you a page like this. You can't miss it. One big red button says COVID Essential Services. Click on that specific one. Then you need to type in your enterprise number. So what is that enterprise number? That enterprise number. So this is where it's going to become a little bit difficult, guys, because it means you have to be a registered company, and you have to be registered with SIPC. If you're not registered or you're not up to date with SIPC, then you're going to have a problem, and we cannot solve that specific thing. The bus has already left the station with that specific thing. So where you find that number, guys, it's generally you have to put it on your letterhead. It's generally your company registration number starts with the year you started your company. So if it's 1998, you'll see it 1998 / I think it's 4 digits / another 4 digits, 3 or 4 digits. I can't remember exactly the number is. You'll find it either maybe in your profit and not your profit and loss, your audited financials or your financials from your auditor or your CK documents. You have to look where that enterprise number is. Just stick it in there and hit the search button. If your company is registered and up to date, it will return a result. In this case, here is an example. I put in the PRRB's registration number here, and they returned the enterprise name called the Plumbing Industry Registration Board. So I mean, it is up to date with the services, it's up to date with its taxes and with submissions, all that stuff. Everything is perfect. And let me just correct that back. It's not going to be depending on your taxes. It depends on if you've kept your information up to date. In other words, because you have to register on a yearly basis with SIPC, if you've paid those registration fees, etc., etc. So your result will come back like that. And sorry, it'll come back like that. And then if you scroll down, when you get to this specific thing, you'll get to this. So select the type of business. So yeah, guys, this is where the Biz portal made a bit of a boo-boo, is because the information, so this is still the old one, right? I didn't have time to change to the new one because I haven't. I'm not able to log on to get this information. This is now changed. This is now following, like I said earlier, this section annexure B from the regulations. It's now following this. Now remember, this is 650 and I've only extracted the relevant ones, right? It's following the same as this specific thing. So we can now, because there was a lot of confusion, because I mean, we had a lot of people asking, well, which category must we select? So we're going, well, sorry guys, wrong one. Which category are we supposed to be selecting here? And at that particular point in time, everybody was selecting this specific category here. Right. And now they've changed this. And the one that you're going to be doing is, I'm sorry guys, I'm just jumping over again. You're going to be looking for this category if you're in the essential services with water supply and maintenance, or if you are in the sanitation or sewage. Select which one. You can only select one, and the one specific section. So let's go here again. So go and select that specific category for which you're going to do, and then hit the continue button. Now this is where if your company is, let's say your company was a plumbing, let's say you're doing plumbing services, but your company, the company that you registered was doing security services and you changed over, it might not bring the results back again, because when you register at CIPRA, you register your company as XYZ Plumbing, you denote which category of service you do, and there you will say example plumbing. But if you now started a security services and call it ABC Security and registered your company as security, and then decided to migrate into plumbing and changed your name from ABC Security to ABC Plumbing, and you only registered security, it might not bring you back as an essential services. But you'll have to go and try that out, guys, and see if it pulls you back. So those are the two conditions. The one condition is if you're registered with CIPSA and you're up to date, and the second thing is if you're not registered with, if you are registered with CIPSA, you must be in the right category. So those are the challenges that you might find that you'll have. The problem is, guys, it's going to be very difficult, virtually impossible for IOPSA and PRRB to sort anything out from that point of view. So once you've selected your service, does it trade as another name? Just put it in there. How many employees do you require during the lockdown period? You as the head of the institute needs to put that. And of course, there's that the business trading address that comes back, which will be verified as well. Then the head of the institute, the support and the person who's going to take responsibility is their ID number, their first name, etc., the email address, and what cell phone number. Hit continue again. Pretty straightforward. And again, as I said, the head of the institute, which is very important, because they're the ones who are going to be, if you made the wrong choice, guys, they'll come after the person who's put their name in here. And then, as simple as that, guys, you've got your certificate. I think I received my certificate on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, but you can actually download the certificate now. They now have the ability to download that one. But you'll notice recently the guys who registered now, there's a bit of a change on the site. Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you. We just have quite a few questions for tonight. Do you mind just wrapping up?
Yeah, you can go for it. Let me try. Listening.
Okay, so the first question is, can I work as a plumber during the lockdown?
Can you work as a plumber during the lockdown? You can, as long as you. I don't know which part of the presentation they missed. Yes, if you're a plumber and you've registered and you filled out the permit, you can work as a plumber because you're part of it as essential services. But again, as a maintenance service plumber, not as a contracting plumber.
Sorry, Karim. Steve just jumping in. Just let it go. Let Lee finish his presentation. We did say that if it goes slightly longer, that we would go longer. So, Karim, let's just let Lee finish his presentation, and then we'll take the questions.
Yeah, so Steve, just Karim, thanks a lot. I did ask Karim to jump in, but let's just finish the presentation, then we can come back to the questions. Okay, cool. Thanks, Karim, anyway. So, but anyway, let me just finish off that question. Cool. Yes, you can be, as long as you meet those requirements. Okay, I'm going to repeat myself. If you are a plumber, and before the lockdown, is that you were doing maintenance and service calls, you can continue working. However, if you are a plumber and you are only doing working in the built environment, aka buildings, contracting, etc., then that's not deemed essential services. And then the other thing, then again, so if you were switching in those specific, cool, great. Then you have to go and complete the permit and sign it and make sure that you're in terms of Annexure C of the document, which we've given you the template for. And then thirdly, you need to now go and register yourself on the BIS portal, which got a whole lot of other criteria. If your company was not registered with SIP-C, then you're going to have a bit of a challenge from that point of view. And if your company registration is not linked to the right category as well, there you're going to have problems and challenges in that specific space. So let me continue quickly. So, okay, this is important, guys, is that IOPSA and PRRB in no way advocating that a person not registered with the PRRB or not having a membership with IOPSA are prohibited from proclaiming that they are plumbers. We have never said that, guys. So if you are a plumbing company and deem yourself an essential service, the head of the institute, you can continue trading if you're not PRRB or IOPSA. We have never ever said that. However, the decision still lies with the institute and the head of the institute, right? But registering with the PRRB and IOPSA gives you that third-party verification. So if you do get stopped and you've printed out your registration card, PRRB registration card, or your IOPSA membership, it gives you a better grounding as the head of the institute and third parties that are coming along and want to verify you or your business. We are assured that we can give that information to those specific individuals, because, you know, guys, we hear guys saying that, well, just because you've got doesn't mean just because you've got plumbing written on the side of the bucket doesn't mean you're essential services. So guys are taking advantage of the situation, which we're not saying that it's right or wrong. We're not saying that, guys. We're not saying that you cannot do it, those essential. What we're saying is that if you do get stopped and you're part of the PRRB and IOPSA, we can give you that additional verification from our particular. And that's why if you have a look at the permit, let me just quickly bring it up again. You'll notice down at the bottom here, we're just indicating that if the guys want to go, they can do that verification from that point of view. So, and of course, I'm sure there's some people out there that are going to say to us, well, you need to follow the letter of that Annexure C, and you can't put additional stuff. Nobody said that, guys. We're just trying to help you out and trying to help the industry, or not the industry out there, trying to help the third parties who want that verification to give them as much information as possible so we can continue with your work. Okay, great. It was essential services, guys. Let me just quickly check something here. I just want to because I just noticed I saw I didn't have it in here. I had it on the other slide. So let me just quickly, because I saw one question coming up. So I'm just going to deviate slightly back to this one, guys. So one thing is that they were asked, so there's some people asking about the transporting of individuals. Right, so what the regulations are saying is that, yes, so public transport will be available to satisfy the essential workers that need to get to site. However, that public transport needs to say, if the capacity of that public transport was, let's say a mini taxi was 8 passengers, they are only allowed to carry 50% of their capacity load. So one of the questions I saw coming up there is saying that how many people are allowed in the vehicle? Well, if your vehicle had a capacity of 6, then you need to carry a capacity of 3, 50%. And but if you just be, guys, let's just be clear. Let's just, just use your logic sense, right? Keep the social distancing, move them apart. Keep it. If you've got PPE, just make sure that you, have the necessary PPE. And if make your employees feel safe in that specific environment. Just use logic, but the regulation says 50% of the capacity. And then it also says a little bit further, guys, it says that if public transport is available, you as the essential services can make the necessarily arrangements to pick up your employees. But the same conditions apply, aka the 50% of the capacity of the vehicle. Those essential services, guys, just going to quickly touch on them again. We have been engaging with them. We are going to be putting a list and communicating out to you guys as to who they are and not who they are, but the ones that we have. So we got a single list that you can refer to. However, contact your retail guys, because in terms of the regulations, they're allowed to save up to support it as long as they only sell you the essential goods. I spoke about that, but they have to follow the same procedure as you guys as essential services. The supply chain needs to go to the BIS portal, and they need to complete the permits, etc., etc. Just one thing I just remembered about the permit, guys. Please, the permit doesn't get sent to IOPSA and PRRB for verification. It's got nothing to do with us. You need to verify your own permit. That's why it says your own. If you read it, it says stamp from the institute, your institute, not PRRB and IOPSA. So please don't fill it out and then send it to PRRB IOPSA for verification. It is your document. You need to complete it, and you need to keep it, give it to all your employees, etc., etc., and stick it on, keep it in your vehicles as you're traveling around. So, as you know, IOPSA, PRRB, IOPSA's offices are closed. We are working remotely. There is our telephone lines and communication lines are up and running. Please just visit the PRRB's website for those numbers, because there's not just a single number. That is why we're having challenges with people phoning, because our remote systems don't work. The PRRB's remote systems have a bit of a challenge. When you phone one number, it holds that number up. So when people phone, they think that the services are not working. It does, but go to the website and just find out, because we've got about, I think about 6 or 7, 8 lines going in. Just phone the right department. We urge you guys to join the social media pages, IOPSA's and PRRB social media, because that's where we get the most information out, or we get the information out correctly, or visit IOPSA's website for the COVID-19 updates. Please, guys. COCs are still being solved, guys, but the only difference is that we shifted to electronic COCs for obvious reasons. And then, guys, it's the opportunity to now, if you're not working and running around, catch up with your CPD processes. We're actually going to be bringing a whole lot of more CPD programs online for you guys, free of charge, gratis, nothing. Just join in and feel free to join the session and get that information. So, guys, I'm going to stop there. We're just going to jump into the questions quickly, and I don't know if there's something you want to add, Brendan or Steve, at this particular point in time, but it's our opportunity, guys, now, to show them that we're not those secondhand people on the side there. We need to step up and take the responsibility. But as I advocate in all the messages, or IOPSA and PRRB's messages that were sent out, is that with great power comes great responsibility. It might be a bad cliche from the Spider-Man movie, but it emphasizes that it's up to us, up to us all, to play our part in it and trying to defeat this virus. Okay, great. But longer than 20 minutes.
Yeah. Thanks, Lee. Guys, it's Brendan here. So just a couple of things that I want to touch on. I know you've got a lot of questions, so I'll be very brief. There is a new regulation which has come out in the last couple of days, and we'll be communicating this to you quite shortly. But basically, it is all websites that have a .za website. So in other words, if you are abcplumbers.co.za, that there's a notification or a link that you have to have available on the landing page of your website, which links through to the government's COVID-19 information page. So we will be communicating that shortly. Obviously, a lot of you guys do not run your own websites. So the responsible thing is to make sure that you put a request through to whoever hosts your website or does your website to get that done. The second thing, it's less important, but I'll just mention it, is that at this point in time, in terms of migrating your cell phone number, that will not be allowed anymore. So if any of you were thinking of changing your cell phone providers, you cannot do that during this lockdown period. Something to do with them preventing fraud and crime and that sort of thing. There was a lot of questions regarding PPE, lack of PPE. So guys, please, I encourage you all on the various groups to share information where you do find suppliers that have PPE at a reasonable rate. We are trying to find out through our sources, trying to find where we can give you information of PPE suppliers that are available and that have stock at reasonable prices. We will also be sending a letter out to all the insurance companies and to the National Association of Managing Agents regarding the charges, the additional charges that you guys are incurring for PPE, and encouraging them to have some form of an allowance or to pay some sort of a fee for the PPE, because we realize it's costing you guys a lot of money. In that same letter, we will be talking about materials. So if, for example, an insurance company only allows for a particular valve, a cheap valve, and you're not able to source that at the moment and you have to use a more expensive valve, is to encourage them to pay that additional fee. So guys, I can't guarantee that these organizations are going to respect that. But we're certainly going to try from our side. We'll also be sending this letter to all IOPSA members, probably, I assume, also to all PIRB registered plumbers. And you can then share that with your corporate customers that you deal with. We can't guarantee that they're going to do this, but we're going to strongly encourage them that this is the responsible thing. Last word from me, guys, is regarding fake news. Please, guys, please, 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 do not share unverified information. There's already been one arrest that I'm aware of. So do not share any posts on social media that are not verified. Don't do it, guys. It is illegal and government is really serious about this. So don't do it. Besides the fact that it's illegal, we have a responsibility as professional plumbers to only share verified, correct information. So that is information that comes from IOPSA, PIRB, from official government websites, from places like the World Health Organization, and that sort of thing. Do not, guys, do not share fake news. Please refer to the IOPSA and PIRB websites. There's a huge amount of information. It's being updated regularly. So please refer to that regularly for updates, and follow the Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those sort of feeds that we have, so that you keep yourself and your staff informed. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Karim, just before we get to those questions, just for those in the room, we are having a session today in terms of putting various other webinars together. So one of the key focuses being in terms of how you address for assistance through government. So we're dealing with Alan Gower today. And we're also looking at, we've got the approval now this morning. We'll also have a professional coming in just to dealing with the stress, etc. So we'll just watch out for the website and notices as they come through. We're working behind the scenes to deal with and provide as much info as possible in terms of assisting through these trying times. Thank you, Karim.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Guys.
I'll quickly dive into the questions.
Karim, just quickly, guys, what I put up on the screen there for you is just to show you how the certificate looks. So this was the PRRB certificate that we managed to get down there, but you'll notice that up at the top there, it says soil waste management and public cleaning. That was because it was on the old one. I'll go and change it today. We have the ability. That was the other thing, is that you have the ability now to go, if you've registered as that and you manage to get onto that one, you can go back in and actually change that business category. Because remember I said to you, they stuffed up on the initial document or the initial categories in there. So if you have got your things, then I'll just go in there again and just change that specific category of business, because we're not soil waste and management. That was the only one that was closely related to the to the plumbing services. So we will go and change that specific thing. Good. And then maybe just to point another one, people might be saying, well, we don't do plumbing. You're correct in saying that, guys. 110%. We don't go out and we haven't got a bunch of plumbers running out there, but we are a support services to the plumbing, exactly the same as some people were talking about the call centers. You know, the people that are sitting on your call centers, you know, you need that support services. They are deemed part of your company and part of your business. However, social distancing, the necessary protection of your employees is important in that specific process. Okay, Karim.
Okay, so I'll quickly dive into the questions. The question is, do we have to pay our staff danger pay?
Well, at this stage, no, I don't think that is the case. That's not the intention. I'm speaking from an ignorant point of view, but as far as I know, that is not the case. But we are getting some people in to talk about the labor relations. We're trying to source some people to talk about the labor side of that specific thing, but more so about the UIF and the relief pays that we guys can get. But we're just trying to sort those specific, and we'll get back to you with regards to that. So I don't know if you guys know anything differently, Brendan, Steve.
I'll come in here. So there's no requirement to pay guys danger pay. So there's no requirement from government or from anybody else to pay anybody danger pay or any additional payments. So I think it's up to each company to make the decision as to what they want to do and how they're going to do it. But at this stage, there's no requirement to pay anybody danger pay.
Okay, and then the next question is, I own a plumbing supply store. Are we allowed to trade?
Yes, you can trade, but you have to follow the same rules. In other words, go to the portal, go and register yourself on the BIS portal and complete the permit as well. So, and then put it up clearly in your store.
Just on that, sorry, Lee.
And then just follow the clear rules with regards to the social distancing in your stores, and the rules state 1 square meter per customer. However, I would say go beyond that and put necessarily additional processes in place within your store.
If I can just come in there, it is for essential services. So if Mrs. Jones walks in and wants a new shower head, you shouldn't be helping her. If somebody walks in and wants to buy a new bathroom suite, you should not be assisting them. The suppliers are there to provide support to the essential services. So in other words, in reality, you should only be serving plumbers, and you should only be serving them with emergency type materials.
Okay, and then the next question is quite closely related to what you just said. So the question is, if we are on our way to deal with an emergency, how do we cover ourselves with the local police? Should we be stopped apart from showing our plumbing ID? There is some confusion, and clear guidelines would be welcome.
Well, guys, just go back into when you see the recording, it's clear. Print the permit out, complete the permit, sign the permit, go to the BIS portal, get your certificate, give us as much supporting evidence as you can in your document with your permit, put it in your vehicle, make copies with it, give it to your other service vehicle, so when they drive around, they can, and they get stopped, the policeman, the the services that are stopping you, be it traffic cops, police, army, or whatever it is, they hopefully will understand the documents that you're showing them. They understand essential service. Hopefully they'll look at the documents and then they'll move you on from that. But if you're just going there and you show your PRRB registration card, guys, I don't think it's going to suffice in any way. You need those other documents.
Sorry, Lee, just to come in there again is, guys, the document Annexure C, every single staff member that is in the vehicle or conducting emergency work must have a copy of that. And we suggest, if you go to the IOPSA website, there is significant information on what our guidelines are, but we also suggest that there's a letter from the company that confirms employment of that person. So every single person that is in the vehicle must have the permit. It's not just the company.
Correct there, guys. Have a look again. I'm going to repeat myself. There's the permit. There's the permit that is in there. Again, and as Brendan said, each and every one. This at the top will be basically one. In other words, one details, because it's one owner and there is one company, right? This section will be filled out for each and every person, the section here that you have. So if you've got 4 people, you'll have 4 of these permits, 5 of these permits, because you will fill out one for yourself, right? And 4 others for your employees for which you're working. And then you need to go and register with the biz services as well. The biz portal from that point of view.
Okay, and then the next question is, how do I as a sole proprietor register?
Okay, so this is one of those questions I had during the week as well. If you're a sole proprietor, you cannot register on the biz portal because it doesn't allow you sole proprietors to register. So my recommendation to the third party was, and again, I can't tell you if it's right or wrong, is that I would suggest you do is get your documents out, your company documents, complete the permit, put as much information in here, so when you do traveling around, you can show that you're a sole proprietor and you couldn't register as your business. If they stop you and turn you around there, guys, sorry, then that's their call. We can't say anything, but that's the information I can do at this particular point. And if you got anything else different, Brendan?
Yeah, so sole proprietors, from what I've read, do not need to register on the Biz Portal website. In fact, you can't register on the Biz Portal website. So make sure that you have this Annexure C that's on the screen right now. Make sure you've got that completed for each employee. Have a letter of employment, and then also any other documentation that you may have. Rather have more documentation than you need, so that when the police do stop you, then you can show them all these documents. But a sole proprietor cannot register on the Biz Portal website, unfortunately.
Okay, and then the next question is, do we have to create a detailed list of where we have worked?
I'll come in there. Yes, guys, it's important. It's very important, and we have recommended that on our guidelines, that you keep a detailed record of wherever you've worked and the people that you have come into contact with. So that also obviously includes the suppliers that you go to. And the reason for this is simply so that if there is, God forbid, that somebody in your organization or somebody that you have done work for is tested positive for COVID-19, that the authorities are able to trace all the people that have been in direct contact so that they can get the testing and screening done. So please you should be doing it anyway, but just keep a record. If you go on the IOPSA website, you will see there is a little form that we suggest that you fill in, and that asks the client a number of questions regarding the status of the house or the business that you're working in. And that could be a perfect method, keep a record, but keep records, guys. Keep lots of records.
Okay, and then the next question is, can we be held liable if one of our workers is tested positive and a consumer gets the virus? Do we get a disclaimer signed?
So
No,
okay,
go,
Brendan,
Lee.
take it.
No, you go.
So, guys, the answer is no. However, if you didn't take the necessary precautions and necessarily the necessary protection of your employees and the customers that you engage with, there is a possibility. And if you
In other words, if I just add to what Lee has just said, the only way that you could be held liable would be if you were negligent. So again, follow the IOPSA guidelines that we've published, and make sure that you take the necessary precautions.
And then, guys, if I can just add into that one, and is that if one of your people are sick, then it's straightforward, guys. Quarantine yourselves. Don't even send your employees home. Lock down yourselves and don't move from that specific space.
Okay, I'm going to have just one more question for this morning's session. The question is, if you already have a permit with the solid waste management, can we keep it as is, or must we re-register for the new category?
Okay, guys, as I said earlier on, that we registered because there was no other category, so we registered on that solid waste. They've actually updated the website and they allow you to change your certificate, but only with that business category. That's the only thing. So my recommendation is definitely go onto the website, go and click on that specific and change your category. So you can be perfect. Whenever you get stopped, it is clear. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that that you get stopped and they see that you haven't got any drain rods or any sewage equipment or whatever. You're replacing geysers or fixing valves or pipes or whatever, or water pipes. So go in there and go and change it to that category 6, which denotes water.
Okay, the next question is registration with CIPC not always current if registered once and no info has changed?
No, it's not necessarily the case. Every year you have to register, you have to re-register. When I say re-register, you have to verify your information with CIPRA. Your auditor generally does that, or not your auditor, your accounting officer, or you yourself as a business owner needs to do that specific thing. And that is verification of that you haven't changed your process, your detail, etc., etc. Yes, while you might have registered in the beginning, your business changes with respect to your email addresses, your contact details, and all that stuff. Therefore, every year they have to re-register. It actually started a couple of years ago with regards to that. So yes, you had to do it, and there was a registration fee that you have to pay every year as well.
Okay, and then the next question. I have done your essential service certificate and also had it certified at police station. Is that going to suffice with proof of job card?
But so let's just be clear, it's not our certificate, it is the government certificate. It's the government certificate. You got verified at the police station. That's great. It doesn't say it's a necessity. It's not a requirement that you have to verify it, but it's good that if you can go in there and get it stand perfect, even better. Yes, will that suffice? Yep, but you have to put the permit with it as well, with all the different permits as well. And then, like I said, the issue that you have, guys, is that if you rock up at a roadblock and you have those 2 documents, legally those are the 2 documents that you need. However, if you give as much supporting documents with it, it helps your cause in going through that specific roadblock, wherever it is, or it gives the necessary information to the authority that is looking at this information, that it's not just, well, there's these 2 pieces of paper, but there's supporting documents to it, or evidence, let's put it that way.
Okay, and then the next question is, do you have to register to BIS if you are a PIRB member?
Hey guys, again, guys, we said that in no way. Let me just get that slide up again. I'm just moving some things over. No way do we advocate that if you are PRLB and IOPSA that you prevent yourself from trading, right? What we're saying is that you have to go through the motions of registering yourself at the BIS portal. That is a given, guys. You have to do that, irrespective if you're PRLB, IOPSA, or JOSO. You need to do that specific thing, unless you're a sole proprietor. And then you have to carry out the permits. You have to complete the permit document for all your staff and yourself, right? But then what we're saying is, to support that specific process, we recommend give as much evidence that you can. And hence, if you give your PRLB registration card and you give, as part of your documents, and you give that you're an IOPSA member, it gives you that necessary third-party or gives the reassurance to the authorities that most probably, if they stopped you, that it's not just these two documents, but all the evidence that support you. So again, just because you're PRLB registered, in no way, or IOPSA member, in no way does it mean you can trade. You need to go through the motions of the permit and the BIS portal.
Okay, and then the next question is, on the permit, what do we do if the only person working during this time is the company owner?
As I said to you guys, as I said earlier on, so we might have answered that specific thing. Let me just bring it up again so we're clear about it. This section here is for you as the owner of the business, and that will be filled out once by you as the owner, right? And that information generally does not change. This information does not change, but this information here, and let me just quickly do this one here. This information is once. This information will be multiple, because it all depends on how many employees. So in other words, here will be Lee Smith, or Lee Smith, Lee ID number, cell phone number, if my PRLB registration, I don't have a metro number, my physical address 164 Raimter, Institute of Plumbing membership number. Then it will be Peter Jones, or Jones Peter ID number. It will be Brendan Reynolds, Steve Brown with their registration number. If it's myself and I'm the only owner, it will be Lee Smith up here, right? And down here, it will be Lee or Smith Lee, ID number, sign it there. It's a bit of a oxymoron, but complete it like that if you're the only person in the vehicle, or not the vehicle, if you're the only owner working.
Okay, and then just the last question for the session. Is there a fraud department we can report police officials requesting money to allow you to continue, even if you had the correct documents?
Okay, guys, we're not aware of anything like that, but let's have a look at that specific thing. Brendan, I'm sure we can find something in that light for what it's worth.
Yeah, we'll have a look and see what we can find, and then also publish that on the website.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it for the questions.
Yeah,
Yes,
I just want to quickly run through some of the statements there, because some of them are pretty good. There's Ryan. Ryan indicates, I'm in a small town with no army and all police know me and my men. I don't know why they know you, Ryan, but anyway, let's just leave it at that. They haven't been asked for more information. It might be wise to check in police so they know who are operating. So I think it's a good suggestion. Let's just drop past and say, hey, this is who I am. But if you've got your documentation in place, I mean, in a small town it might work, but in a big one, maybe a bit more of a challenge. But it's a good suggestion there. Great. Are the personnel need to use PPE? Are the shop personnel need to use PPE? I would recommend yes. Let's do that. Logic sense, guys. Logic says put as much as you can in place. Get that social distancing. make sure that it's all in place, and just use common sense. Can I do block sewers and maintain some geysers or taps? Austin, yes, 100% correct. You can do. Must you wear gloves when driving? Well, I don't think there's any rule that says you need to use gloves when driving, but again, exactly the same says as much as what you can do, guys. It's the best. So yes, use gloves while driving, but I don't think there's any rule against that specific thing. In the same way as it doesn't say that you have to wear a mask, but it's recommended, and it's highly recommended from PRLB and IOPSA you do that specific thing. Okay, we spoke about the fraud there. My printer is out of paper and ink at home. I can't print any other documents. What now? So my recommendation then is that if you've got your phone with you, my recommendation is send snapshots to your phone, right? So if you do get to a site, then just show it through from that point of view. If I can't register on the BIS portal, will that mean I'll not be able to work? It's a difficult thing to say that specific thing, but the question is, why couldn't you register yourself on the BIS portal? Is that because you are a sole proprietor, or is it because you don't own a company and you're a fly-by-night, one for a better word? I can't tell you that specific thing. The rules say you need to be registered on a BIS portal unless you are a different type of entity like a sole proprietor. Then you need to go through that specific motion, proving that you're a sole proprietor. Okay, here's a interesting one. Most bucky plumbers are being two people, therefore it means that one person could be a problematic or mean you have to send two vehicles if more personnel is needed. Obviously, raising costs of call out. Well, okay, let's just leave the raising cost of the call out. That's you got to deal with in your own environment, or how you deal with that specific thing. But of course, guys, let's be logic about this specific thing. If the carrying capacity of the vehicle is two people, and they said that the thing has to be 50%. Well, guys, I don't know how we're going to do that specific thing, but let's just think obviously about that specific thing. I think it would be safe to say, and Brendan, just confirm with me if you're happy with the statement, is that if you're in a bucky, there are only basically two seats in the bucky. Therefore, you can't go with the carrying capacity of less than 50%, because obviously, but then just do the necessary protection as much as you can. In other words, spray the bucky down, make sure that you've got sanitizer in the bucky, etc., etc. I don't know if you want to add to that.
If I can come in there, the regulations are very clear regarding the 50%. I have seen reports that that this does not relate to workmen, but that we haven't been able to verify. So stick to the 50%. Our recommendation is that you minimize the number of staff that you send. So obviously most of you guys are using buckies. Some of those buckies will have a carrying capacity of 2, and some of them will have a carrying capacity of 3. The reports we're getting from the field are that that nobody that I'm aware of has been stopped for having 2 people in a bucky. But you know, guys, unfortunately, there is some uncertainty out there on this subject. So if it's a smaller call out, rather send just one person, and even though the job's going to take a little bit longer, but it seems like most guys are getting through. Well, everybody that I'm aware of has got through the roadblocks with 2 people in a bucky, but definitely not more.
Good. I think that's it, Karim. I think we've answered most of the questions. So do you guys know what plumbing
So we lost Lee there for a second, guys. I'll just jump in if I understood the question correctly. What Plumlink is doing?
So certain of it. Yeah, Brendan, you take it. Now you've been dealing with it. You take it, Brendan.
Sorry. So Plumlink has put out a notice to all their customers, and we've also shared it on. Not all their stores are open. Only certain stores are open. They very lightly manned, and they open only, if I remember correctly, I think it's 9 to 12 weekdays, and they're only allowing 2 customers in the store at a time. I also know that I think Waterways is open, Richmond Plumbing is open, On Tap is not open. Builders Warehouse is not open. We haven't had confirmation from Build It yet. So please, guys, there's a couple of independent plumbing merchants that are open for emergencies only. So please confirm with your suppliers.
Okay, Karim, that's from my side. You can close up. But guys, just so let's just be safe. Let's just be, you know, we need to take our industry and make it proud with us. And we will be there, guys, for you, you know, as much as we can with information, giving you as much information as we can and pushing it out there. I would, as I said, I would again strongly recommend that you just jump on the social media of IOPSA and PRLB, both of them, for the latest information. And we will be coming forward again with more CPD programs, more information. So keep a watch out for that, guys, and stay safe.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Lee. I urge everyone to please fill in the survey, as that will just help us improve our services towards you. And there will be a recording on the IOPSA YouTube channel and the plumbing app in case you've missed anything. I'm going to go ahead and end the session now.